What's up everyone? Welcome back to another drawing video. I'm going to be doing some poses from a website called Pose Maniacs today. I was kind of unsure what to draw, and I think deciding what to draw could also be a video topic all in itself. But what I really wanted to talk about today was, when is it the right time to actually draw real characters? And one of the things that you see often on YouTube is how to draw gesture drawings, how to draw basic figures, how to draw these box-like mannequins that I'm drawing right now. Actually, the box-like mannequins that I draw are kind of an amalgamation of a number of different mannequin techniques that I've seen online, and it's kind of my own personal way of doing it now. But I often feel like it's difficult to know when to actually draw characters, or when is it okay to draw characters. And probably the main fear is that if you jump into drawing characters, you'll learn things wrong and that you need to do everything in order. And I think that this mindset comes from like your general education system, or the most popular education systems of the Western civilization, which is, you start with the basics, then you move on to things slowly as they get more complicated. So if you were to really learn drawing in the official educational, taught way, I guess you would start with a straight line, or maybe you'd start with a dot, and then maybe after that you draw a straight line, and then a curved line, and then you draw a square, and then a circle. You do all your geometric shapes. And I've read various drawing manuals that try to teach drawing in this way, and I think that's probably, in many ways, it's probably the correct way to draw. But the thing about drawing is that it's not just like any subject. It's not just like learning how to do mathematics, or just learning how to, well, actually, most things, even mathematics, I think you have to find a way to make it fun and relevant to people. Otherwise, eventually people are just going to give up. And when it comes to drawing, I feel like it needs to become relevant to the person who is wanting to actually draw characters. So, of course, these basics are important, and as you can see, I still don't have all the basics nailed down. In fact, I feel like I was quite good at drawing these mannequin characters, but again, I didn't draw for like 4 months. And coming back to it, I've forgotten pretty much everything. I'm pretty sure after maybe a few weeks, it'll come back to me quickly, and I'll remember a lot of stuff that I've already forgotten. But with drawing these mannequins, you eventually get to a point where you're like, but this isn't why I got into drawing. I didn't get into drawing because I want to draw mannequins. And no, of course, no one gets into drawing. Well, most people don't get into drawing because they want to draw mannequins, but it's an important step. The problem is, if you only draw mannequins, you only draw stick figures, or you only draw very primitive shapes like circles, squares, cubes, and spheres, eventually you just feel like, this isn't relevant to me. Really, I want to be drawing characters. And so I wonder what the right timing is to jump into drawing characters. Now, on my personal journey, I feel like when I first got into drawing, I was a kid and I just drew Sailor Moon characters. Honestly, it was at that time, anime didn't really exist in the West, and so the first time I had ever really heard of anime was when they showed stuff like Speed Racer on Cartoon Network, and then eventually we had Toonami, and so they showed us stuff like Robotech and Sailor Moon. And for me, the best thing about drawing was drawing characters that I knew. And even though I wasn't drawing them very well, in fact, most of the time I was just looking at an image I had found in a magazine and just copied it. I didn't trace it, but I basically copied it as well as I could. And for me, that was fun because I was producing something that I wanted to look at. I was producing something that I was drawing something that I wanted to draw. But of course, to actually get good at drawing, and drawing from imagination, and drawing anything that came to my mind, I need the skills to pose things that don't, that I'm not looking at in a reference sheet. So especially with manga, it's just like, if you tried to search for exactly the right pose on Pinterest every single time you needed to draw every frame of a manga, you just run out of time. So for me, it was eventually really important to learn how to draw the basics, and that's, why I'm coming back to learning things like how to draw mannequins, or how to draw gesture drawings, or how to draw the anatomy. But it does get kind of boring. I think people do wonder to themselves, when is the right time to draw characters? So I don't have the answers. It's just something I wanted to talk about in today's video. And the reason I kind of think about it still is because, if you know, I also draw on a channel called Doki Doki Drawing. And it's not focused on my drawings, that's mostly focused on professional Japanese artists. But one of the people who shows up on the channel with me is my good friend Tony at Doki Doki Drawing. And Tony and I would sometimes meet up in a cafe in the mornings to like do some drawing. I was like, why don't we just hang out and draw in the mornings? The thing about Tony was that I never saw him actually draw a character. I now know many years later that he's fully capable of drawing characters. But at the time, it really bothered me that I would never see him draw anything, and I felt like I needed him to prove to me that he could draw. It's just like, man, just draw something. I just want to see you draw. And on the one side, it was like I wanted proof that he could actually draw stuff and not just talk about drawing, because again, often you get a lot of drawing channels where people give loads and loads of advice about how to draw and how to make it in the industry, but then you don't see much proof of them actually drawing, or they only review drawing tablets and devices. They're always talking about the tech and the gear, but we never see like the proof in the pudding, and it's just difficult to take a channel seriously when you don't see the person actually doing the thing that they're saying and giving advice on. And it was not that I was really watching Tony's channel and not disbelieving that he could draw, but for me, he kept telling me that he wanted to, draw manga, or he wanted to push his illustration career, and he was already doing stuff like animations and like people's openings. Like he did the opening to a YouTube channel, like an animated opening to a YouTube channel. So he was clearly capable of doing it, but I never saw him actually do it with a pencil, like draw a character. It was mostly like he would show me something he'd already drawn and then he would talk about it. Anyway, the point is, he is totally at liberty to do whatever he wants, but I just felt like I really wanted to encourage him to get closer to the things that he was saying. Like he wants to draw a lot and turn it into his career, and I felt like in my mind, I thought I was helping to motivate him to actually push his actual art and not always postpone it. Because when you've got a friend who does postpone stuff, you feel like, okay, well, maybe it's my sort of quote-unquote duty to help them avoid postponing by saying, okay, man, just do it now. I'm going to hold you accountable. But sometimes people don't want to be held accountable. Maybe they're perfectly capable of holding themselves accountable without your help. So I can see now, looking back on it, like, wow, how, me saying that was completely unnecessary for him. But I thought that I was helping at the time. I was like, look, I'm going to be the one that helps push you to actually achieve the things and the goals and the resolutions that you made at the start of the year. So anyway, the long and the short of it is, it's not really up to me to decide when my friends need to draw. And it's also the other way around as well. Sometimes you do need that push. And sometimes I wish, personally, that I had friends who would keep me accountable, like send me a message like, hey, when was the last time you drew something? Or show me something you've drawn lately. And I guess when I want people to do that for me, I try doing it for others and like trying to see if they'll kind of reciprocate the behavior. Well, it's a long story, but really what I'm trying to say is you kind of have to decide for yourself when is the right time. Are you the kind of person who is happy to just draw mannequins for, a year? Are you happy drawing nothing but gesture drawings for a year, and then nothing but mannequins for a year, and then maybe by the third year, you're just magically amazing at drawing characters because you really worked hard on those fundamentals? And clearly, in schools, that is often how it's taught. They have everyone go through the process rigorously and make sure they've got the fundamentals in place before they try and churn out haphazard drawings with all sorts of broken anatomy. But for me, like I said, everyone has to pick their own journey. For me, I'm like drawing and learning and sharing at the same time. And right now, I'm really grateful that I've got a YouTube channel where I talk about video games, and also this channel where I talk about drawing. And I wouldn't be able to do any of this stuff if I waited until I was quote unquote good at drawing before actually doing it. And so for me, even though I recognize that it makes sense to like get these mannequins perfect, to get these poses perfect, to be able to draw anything from imagination perfectly, it's the whole, should I go for perfection, or is it, as the phrase goes, like perfection is the enemy of completion? I think it's something like that. But for me, perfection really is the opposite of completion, because if I don't post things before I'm ready, then I have no channel and I have no following. And for me, yes, mastery of art is important, but generating my activities online, like having my channel started and having interactions and being able to talk to people and get feedback and enjoy the whole activity of running a channel, that requires that I post stuff or draw characters, even though I'm not 100% ready to do it like completely perfectly. But like, it doesn't really matter to me whether it's a masterpiece at all, because for me, it was just important that I did it and I got all of the benefits out of it, like the interactions on the YouTube channel, the comments, being able to meet new people through it and generate conversations on the Discord as well. It's like all of these external aspects that are, I guess you would say, meta, like separate to the art itself, are so important that it's like, it doesn't even really matter to me whether the art that I create is as good as or can be replaced by AI art, because the actual drawing itself, yes, maybe that can be replaced by AI, but all the things that I got out of the drawing, which are creating like connections with people and giving myself the platform like the YouTube channel and all of the flexibility and possibilities that come with having a channel and a platform where you can make, put your opinions out there, put your art out there, put your tutorials out there, all the stuff that comes with having a channel. I've got all those benefits, and it's cool. It's cool because I didn't wait to draw, I just drew. And that's really what today's topic was, is should you wait until you're good enough to draw before you draw characters, or should you just draw anyway and then, keep coming back to drawing mannequins every now and then and slowly get better and better? I don't think there's a correct answer, but I would love to know what you guys think in the comments section below. Do you feel like it's worth it? Maybe if you just focus for a solid 3 years, then at least after that, everything you create is a masterpiece and there's really no need to worry about practicing anymore after that? Or is the method that I've taken, is it correct? Is it to just draw some mannequins but also jump straight into drawing some characters, but then as a result, even 10 years later, I'm still looking at the stuff that I draw and I'm going, but you know what, it's still not there. If only I had just focused for 3 years, and then now I wouldn't be looking at my work and disliking it. Which, honestly speaking, I don't think there ever comes a point where an artist looks at their work and go, yeah, that is exactly what I wanted, and there's no way that I could ever have done anything better than this. Anyway, that's all for now. Remember to comment, like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel. I will see you all in the next one.